Welcome to this Fane Online event. My name is Eliza Hull and I am an Australian disabled writer, musician and disability advocate. And I'm so excited to be here to launch the incredible book by Lucy Webster, The View from Down Here. Lucy Webster is a journalist covering disability issues in politics, society, and culture for leading publications, including The Guardian, The Times, and The Financial Times. She is well known for her work she does to demystify disabilities and explain ableism to new audiences. Her newsletter, The View from Down Here, is one of the most prominent anti-ableism publications online. Alongside her journalism, Lucy is a vocal disability advocate, spreading awareness both on social media and as a public speaker. The book, The View from Down Here, is incredibly powerful. I read it so quickly. I couldn't believe how quickly I read it. It was so honest. It was funny. It's a beautiful book and written so incredibly well. Lucy looks at life at the intersection, the struggles, the joys, and the unseen realities of being a disabled woman. From navigating the worlds of education and work, dating and friendship, to managing care, contemplating motherhood, and learning to accept your body against a pervasive narrative that is somehow broken and in need of fixing. The View from Down Here shines a light on what it really means to move through the world as a disabled woman. Congratulations, Lucy. It's such an incredible book.
Thank you. I'm so glad you loved it, and thank you for having me today.
It's so exciting. I guess I was firstly curious, what made you write a book like this?
Yeah, a couple of things. I've always been a writer, but I spent quite a few years insisting that I would never write a book. But then I would go into work or I'd be with my friend, I'd tell a story about something that had happened to me that to me was quite normal, quite an average day of existing as myself and people would be shocked. I would think, oh, this isn't what it's like for everyone. And people would say, oh, Lucy, you should really write a book. I would say, no, couldn't possibly. And then I was working as a reporter at the BBC, and I had a few kind of key personal experiences that I'm sure we'll get onto. That really made me think that actually things weren't really getting better. In fact, arguably with COVID, they were getting worse. And it became increasingly obvious to me that it wasn't just ableism that I was dealing with, it was ableism combined with sexism. I couldn't find that being talked about anywhere. I read a lot of feminist books and intersectional feminism, but there was almost nothing on this particular intersection that I found myself navigating every day. So I thought I'd write a book.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the intersection it's something that hasn't been discussed. And to be honest, like I've read a lot of books by disabled people, and throughout your book, I just found it like subjects that I hadn't ever thought about. And the way you wrote it was just really well written and really powerful. So truly, thank you for writing it. It's a beautiful book.
Thank you very much. It's been really lovely hearing from disabled women who have seen about copies and hearing people say that sometimes the first time they're seeing particular experiences reflected and talked about honestly that they've had and have never been able to really share. So that's been very moving really to get the messages and hear that it resonates with people.
Yeah, it definitely resonated with me. I wondered, writing a book, it's not easy to do. I've, written chapters in books, but never written a complete book before. It's something I definitely want to do one day. I wondered, what was the process like? Did you, use a computer? How did you write the book, and did it take a long time?
It took about a year altogether. I am a writer. So in some ways, the actual writing was as hard as I imagined. In terms of just finding the words. I think what was hard was the emotional aspect of, it's a memoir. It's incredibly personal.
It's very personal. Which
Yeah.
is what makes it so amazing.
I think that's what I kind of go with as well. But like the most powerful stories, the stories that we know create change, are personal and individual. So every time I think, I can't believe I'm writing this down. I think about kind of the end goal. The end goal is to get people to think and change. So it's an incredibly personal, but kind of in the service of something. And that's how I kind of cope with how personal it is.
Yeah, it is personal, but I think because it's so personal, hopefully it shocks people how much ableism is out in the world. I hope that people get a real sense of that, because I certainly did from your writing.
Yeah, I think it's, even the whole book is hard to convey the kind of constancy of everything and the magnitude of it. Because you can only talk about specific experiences. So that I think was one of the challenges, writing it in a way that looked at these specific things, but also gave the sense of everything that didn't make it into the book.
I guess I was curious around the title, "The View from Down Here," and wondered what it feels like, from what you say is the view from down here.
Yeah, the title, as you mentioned earlier, is the name of my newsletter. So I had it already. I kind of came up with it one day on the spur of the moment, and I set up my newsletter. And what I love about it is that it says what it is, but it also makes people smile. And I think it's that's so important. Yeah, this stuff is hard and it's heavy and it's sometimes very overwhelming, but a lot of the time it's just absurd and kind of funny in a way. And I think there's you get so much further if you also make people laugh.
Mm.
Um, so I wanted something that reflected, the humor as well. So I love the title. I love seeing people react to it. I
Mm.
think it really nailed it because I literally do have a different perspective from my
Mm.
wheelchair. The world treats me incredibly differently
Mm.
because I'm sitting in a wheelchair. Um, so I think it kind of works
Mm.
literally and metaphorically, which is
Mm.
really nice.
Mm. It's kind of absurd, isn't it? Why do people treat you differently because you're a wheelchair user? When a wheelchair is the way you get around, it's your accessibility, and yet for some reason it creates so many negative attitudes. It's unbelievable, especially in 2023.
I mean, it's my book, but the clue is in the name to check
Mm.
on wheel. That's what it is.
Mm.
There's nothing
So true.
special about it. But yeah, it really does affect who people think I am and where they think
Mm.
I belong and what they think I can do.
Yeah.
It's,
Mm. And you spoke about in your teenage years, and this is something that I really related to growing up disabled, that you wanted to be the least disabled as possible. Can you tell me why you felt like that in your teenage years?
yeah, um, book about the village, um, quite, quite simply, um, if you are ostracized and blamed for being disabled and you are 12, the
Mm.
natural instinct is to not want to be disabled. Um, I was in fact very disabled, and there was very little I could do about it. And now that's fine.
Mm.
It shows you what, yeah, 15 years can do. But yeah, I mean, as an adult, it kind of horrified me. I didn't want to be disabled, but I tried to have some compassion for my 12-year-old self and think I didn't have the tools to
Mm.
know that the problem was ableism and not me.
Mm.
Um, but I think so many disabled kids are bullied.
Mm.
Um, are It was hard to write about because I just like thinking of myself as vulnerable or
Mm.
a victim. Because I'm not.
Mm.
Um, but I got also 12, and I think we need to talk about those things that happen when we're kids before we have the tools to deal with them. Um, because they shouldn't be happening. Disabled kids should not be bullied by default at
Mm.
school. And I kind of feel that we are. Um, so I'm kind of, bit of about it. But
You speak.
I think that I hope that when adults who know kids, make sure that the disabled kid in the class is invited to staff and is not always the one not at the birthday parties and talk to their kids about disability or their friends' kids about disability. and kind of prevent this happening again and again and again.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's the same in England as it is in Australia, but there's still such a lack of education around disability, and it's not part of the curriculum. Is that the case in the United Kingdom?
But yeah, I mean, it certainly was when I was a kid. Pretty sure it hadn't changed. I really remember, maybe as a young teen being taught about racism and sexism and homophobia, thinking, oh, we're about to get to me. and they never quite did. And, you know, I'm going to feel like that's still the case when we have conversations about diversity. You wait for someone to say the word disability or ableism, and they do not come.
It doesn't come, yeah, exactly. Well, you spoke about it in your book, going to an all-girls school, and how, in a sense, bullying happened, but it was in a more subtle way, so subtle that you actually couldn't even really tell the teacher it had happened. I wondered, yeah, what that was like, experiencing that, and did that affect your teenage years and going to school?
Yeah, I mean, it was very gaslighty. I could never quite put my finger on what was happening. Yeah, in hindsight, it's so obvious that I was being bullied, but I don't think I used the word bullied for what I experienced until I was maybe 20, because I didn't know any different to the start. That just seemed to be what happened. And it was very subtle and it was very manipulative and quite well hidden. And it made me wonder if I was imagining it. So it was very hard to call out at the time. I think it, I think it gave me a sense that being disabled meant struggling and being alone and being lonely and being miserable and anxious. And that's actually not what being disabled means at all. That's what being bullied means. And learning that those two things were different at the age of 1920 was an eye-opening, fantastic thing that really changed how I saw myself.
You also spoke about, in your book, about, I guess, the lack of representation of disabled people in the magazines that, you know, you were exposed to as a teenager, and how that actually, in a sense, because of that lack of representation, it kind of enabled you not to compare yourself to others. I thought that was a really interesting thought. Like, do you see that as almost a positive that you didn't have? Yeah.
I've just done a piece actually for the Guardian over here in the UK about like my relationship to how I look. You know, when we talk about disability and disabled bodies, we often talk about ability and how we relate to our physical abilities or mental abilities, but there's also the way that we relate to how we look. And I think for a long time I thought my body was so bad inherently that it didn't occur to me to care how I looked, because I must look bad was the thought. But actually, as I've got older, embrace my disabled body. I like my disabled body. I actually find that unlike a lot of my friends, I don't really worry about how I look because I just think all bodies are good. And
Mm.
I will, that's kind of a core tenet of my activism is that all bodies are good bodies. So I can't be worrying about the shape of my chin. But I
Mm.
think that just wouldn't fit with how I see the world. So in a way it has insulated me from the kind of insecurities that I think are forced upon women by,
Mm.
like you say, the perfect people in the magazines, because they never seemed relevant to me anyway.
Yeah, and I think you kind of like, I don't know if this is how you feel, but I definitely feel this when you realize what you've been fed all your life about how disability is a deficit and a negative. You start to notice what other things you've been fed by the media about, body image and the way that we should look, or the way, what size we should be, or you
Totally.
realize that it's just a massive lie,
Yeah.
basically a big fat lie that we've been fed by the media and by the wider society. Is that how
The
you
point.
feel?
Yeah, and then one of the central points in the book is that ableism and sexism were very different, actually, two sides of the same coin.
Mm.
And having to understand ableism in order to exist
Mm.
in the world with any sort of joy has
Mm.
made me understand sexism even more. And whether it's the way we talk about disabled bodies or the way we talk about bigger bodies, or well, they all come from this kind of ridiculous notion there is a perfect body.
Exactly.
And it's not. And understanding that in terms of disability has really helped me understand that in terms of looks and appearances and size and all the rest of it.
Mm. Yeah, no, I totally relate to that. I wanted to go back to the start of the book where you open up with, in my opinion, one of the most shocking ableist negative attitudes that I've ever read about in my life. And it's about being with your friends. You find an accessible venue to go to, and that's hard to come by. I know that for sure. And when you find one, in the book, you're excited because you're like, I found a venue that we can all go to and have some fun. And then you get there and you are faced with, yeah, just inherently negative ableism. Can you speak to that and what that kind of negative attitudes
Yeah,
and blatant ableism feels like?
yeah. I mean, so for those that have read the book, I turned up at a club, a nightclub. This was when I was obviously younger and still wanted to go clubbing. Um, I turned up in my chair with some friends. Um, and they told me I wasn't allowed in. I'm gonna take a bit deeper into exactly what they meant about that. They effectively said it was too crowded
Mm.
and the music was too rowdy for me. And one of the really interesting things about this story is like it's shocking in how blatant it is.
Mm.
Um, but it was actually kind of useful because so much of ableism and sexist ableism is not said out loud. It's a look, it's a tone of voice, it's a way of interacting with you that you can't quite put your finger on, but it's definitely happening. But this was so in your face that it was actually a really useful way to open the book.
Yeah.
We could actually spell out the problem. What I think was really interesting about that interaction was it wasn't just about the fact that I was in my wheelchair. It was also about the fact that I was a young woman. They probably assumed I was younger than I was because I'm quite small in my chair. Although now people kind of assume that I'm younger than I am. I think those kind of two forcing together were what caused the whole situation to unfold. And something I really remember thinking is they think I don't have any power. They think there's nothing I can do about this. You know, because they were looking at me with kind of contempt mixed with pity.
But I love what you did do. You wrote something about it.
So at the time I was working for Newsnight at the BBC, so I had a very good sense that there probably was something I could do about it. So we asked the kid went and got some greasy fried food for the way home. I said to my friends, rightfully furious, don't worry guys, I've got a plan. I went into work on Monday morning. I went to the morning meeting, and guess what I had to do? And then when I had a moment, I wrote a thread on Twitter. And obviously, the BBC where I was working, the Guardian where I had worked before and now work again, all sorts of people I knew and who followed me shared it and commented and disabled people, shared their experiences. And it kind of blew up.
Didn't it, like, when you say kind of blew up, it really blew up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I like to think I won that little one. I think I told them what was what.
Exactly. And to be honest, when I was reading that, I was just like, yes. Like, so glad that was the outcome of it. And hopefully, not that you ought to be their lesson, but hopefully they've changed the way that they treat disabled people when they come to that venue.
Yeah.
Speaking about your journalism career, you write for the BBC. You have, as I mentioned in your introduction, you've written for so many great publications. In the book, though, you speak about how when you're reaching out to potential talent on the phone, people automatically switch off or sometimes don't want to engage with you, don't take you seriously. What does that feel like? Is that just so infuriating?
Yeah, I really noticed that when I was at Newsnight again. So a few years ago now, I was working as a booker for Newsnight, so it was my job to get people to come on the show. I often am a politician or journalist or cultural figures. I call up and often people would hang up before I could even begin to explain what I was doing. And that was because of my voice. I have a speech impediment. It's fairly noticeable. And no one is used to hearing someone like me. And they're really not used to hearing someone like me doing the job that I had. You know, I can count on my hand the number of times I've heard someone with a speech impediment on the telly outside the Paralympics. But you just don't hear people who sound like me in the culture. And I think the older I've gotten, the more I understand what's happening, and the more I kind of out with other disabled people as well, I see that quite a lot of the evidence in my face is because of my speech. People assume that I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm incapable of the thing I'm very clearly doing. Or I can't understand them, or they can't understand me. Well, actually, you can understand me. You just have to listen. You just have to take an extra 2 seconds to tune in, and then we're good to go. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's one of the things that I find the most hurtful, actually. I'm not sure why it is, but, you know, people hear my voice and they think they know who I am. And I'm not who they think I am. I do. Often I am the only disabled person in the room, but even if I'm not, if I'm work thing, I'm very often the only person with a speech impediment, not only in the room, but the person I'm talking to has ever met. So I'm constantly trying to break that barrier and get people to hear me and take me seriously and, you know, get rid of their preconceptions about what it means to have a speech impediment. Because all it means is that I don't have great control of the muscles in my mouth.
That is actually all it means. Yeah. And yet people have these assumptions about what it means that are just absolutely backwards.
And I think that's kind of compounded by the fact that I'm often with a PA carer. Who's there mostly because I can't hold things. I can't go to the on my own. But people kind of think that if you've got a PA, they must be there to communicate for you. Which I guess is ironic because I'm the writer. So, I can very much communicate for myself.
Yeah, that's happened to me before, even with my partner, where you know, they'll say, "Does she need a chair?" instead of just asking me, "Do I need a chair?" It's very infuriating. I was actually like wondering, because a lot of the book is like rightfully angry, and I wondered how did you, the other part of that is a lot of the book is really joyful and funny. How did you figure out how to balance the emotions in the book?
I thought about this a lot. Because I wanted the book to be very honest. I wanted to show just how constantly hard it is to exist in a world with just sexist enablers. I kind of felt like there wasn't any point in doing it if I wasn't really honest.
Mm.
But on the flip side, as disabled people, we are so used to being pitied and having to fight against that pity and assert the fact that we enjoy our lives and being disabled is not this terrible life-ending thing that people assume it is. So that balance was really hard to find. But then I kind of thought, well, my life is really hard and it is really joyful. So I'm just gonna write both. I'm just gonna write both. And I came to the conclusion, I think, that they don't balance each other out. It's not like, oh, it's really hard, but it's okay because it's also good. That's not how it works. They don't cancel each other out. They just exist together in this kind of weird, wacky, wonderful, bizarre mix of emotions. I kind of think that's fine.
I think it is, and I think it was a beautiful balance for me of both joy and I guess the anger and the fury of the ableism that you experience.
Yeah, and what I really wanted to show, I've said several times, is that the things that are hard and make me angry or sad or frustrated or anxious are not because I'm disabled, they're because of everything. But a lot of the joy is because I'm disabled.
Mm.
And isn't that a wonderful thing? And
Yes.
I think I've got that message across.
Yep, absolutely. One of the chapters is about the role of a carer, and you speak about how important your PAs are in your life and how fun they make your life and how they are so intertwined with your world and your home life. I wondered, what does the carer relationship look like in your daily life?
I have a habit of hiring these quite sassy, confident, brilliant, slightly bonkers women. Um, um, who, if you get a good one, if you get someone you gel with, it's a wonderful thing. And that can be really hard to find the right person. I've found a lot of wrong people. And it's been quite stressful. But when you find the right people and they get it and they just kind of become your mate that's here to help you. Obviously, yes, I do pay them, and yes, I am the boss, but that's not how it feels in the flat. Like, it feels like, oh, my friend here, and sometimes she helps me to the room, puts me to bed, and we dinner. And it's great, and we have a lot of fun, and we laugh a lot, and we cry a lot, and all the things that friends do. And it's so great as a young woman to spend life surrounded by of a brilliant young woman. A lot of them take this opportunity to study while I work, and I help them a bit with that, and they help me with that. It's more reciprocal than people imagine it to be. And we go out and we go dancing and we go for a pint and we meet my friends for dinner or a theatre and we travel. And people have this idea that care is depressing and clinical and sad and means you have no independence. But if you're disabled like me, care is your independence. If I want here, I can get out of bed without having to work or to a show, right? So people have it the wrong way around. Like, care is pretty, and also like, we all care for people all the time, but we care for our friends. We put our friends who had one too many glasses of wine to bed. We make sure that our friend gets in the taxi home. We lend someone a fiver. You know, it's all care. It's all it's just degrees of it, right? It's not this alien thing that happens to disabled and old people. And we all receive and give care all the time. And I wish people could see that yes, it's hard. It's hard when someone's sick and I haven't got cover. I don't quite know what to do. I have to call someone, hope that someone's free. Or it's hard when someone leaves. I can't hire anyone. But it's also brilliant, and it's also like they are the strongest, longest friendships. And we know each other completely. And there's no judgment in this house. You can just be exactly who you are because we know each other so well. We get to live life together, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. And to be honest, like when I read that chapter, I was like, I want to hang out at Lucy's house. Like it just, I don't know, it just felt fun. And like the way that you had your coffee in the morning and they gave you space to, just wake up, and then you had someone to like be around and chat to and have, I just feel like it felt like it was a very positive dynamic and relationship and friendship. So I really enjoyed reading that chapter.
Okay, I think it's even within the community, something that isn't really talked about. I wish we talked about it more because I think it's so rich and there's so much to it.
Yeah. And I think there is such a negative assumption about depending on another, when actually, what is wrong with that? Like, what's wrong with we all depend on each other as humans, don't we? All of us. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I think thanks for writing all of the things that I was thinking. You just
I really wanted to include it in the book because I think, the way that it's talked about in the media is kind of the opposite of the reality of it. I really wanted to represent that properly.
That was really well written. The other chapter was about relationships and dating, and I was pretty. Like, I thought that I couldn't be shocked, to be honest, but I was shocked when you wrote about being rejected by a dating agency. They stated, "We've never had success with a wheelchair user. We advise you not to become a member until we've set up a specific site for the disabled." So even the fact that they used the disabled was like, I just was like, oh, the ableism. It's just like unbelievable. Where do you think this ableism comes from? This idea that disabled people don't have relationships, don't have sex, don't have families?
I mean, if I knew, so many things, isn't it? It's the kind of infantilization of disabled people. If you're seen as a child, well, you can't be sexy or attractive or any of those things inherently. It's the invisibility of disabled people in general culture, but also, specifically in kind of culture around romance. I don't think I've ever seen a disabled person in a rom-com. Or,
Exactly. Yeah.
It's I think it's inherently that disabled people are still seen as the other, and why would you date the other? I think it is worse for disabled women for a variety of reasons, which I talk about in the book, but women are held to much higher standards of attractiveness, whatever you want to call it, and we are assumed to inherently not meet them. I both think that the standard is bullshit, and the idea that we don't meet them is bullshit.
Totally.
There's the complete kind of desexualization, but also the kind of, I write about this in the book, but I wouldn't give any sort of relevant sex education as a teenager. So I think we're chronically disempowered. Services for disabled people by the state don't expect us to be in relationships all day or whatever, so that's not supported. I mean, the list is really endless, but the problem is the dominoes don't stop, really. But quite a lot to deal with on a day-to-day. And that email was devastating, but not shocking.
Yeah.
Because it was a combination of 10 years of being told that in various ways by various people. And while it was incredibly blatant discrimination, in a way it was kind of helpful because I could finally point at something and say, see what I mean? See what I've been trying to tell you?
Yeah.
But in my head, it's not me not putting myself out there. Look at what happened when I put myself out there. But yeah, it was a bit of a emotional, I don't know the word, but it was intense experience, and then it also went viral because I did tweet it, which was a choice.
I'm sorry, but I love that you do that. I love that you call it out, and I just think it sucks. I think it sucks that it's not shocking for you. Yeah, and I think It's discrimination. Like it's
Yeah.
just ableism and
But I
discrimination.
also think there was a part of me that found it the bit where they say people don't want to date disabled people. I was like, well, I'm aware of that.
They're like, where did you get that from? Yeah, that idea.
I know it, like, if I didn't know that, I wouldn't be going to you. I'm
Yeah.
aware, thank you. This isn't your job to help me. Um, um, I found that, a lot of the responses, which were lovely on the whole, were to tell me that it wasn't true and that people did want to date disabled people. I was like, well, I don't think they do. I don't think the agency's wrong.
You don't think the agency's wrong?
My experience as someone trying to date online or in person has been that people don't want to date disabled people. That ain't true. So when the internet told me it wasn't true, I did think, what world are you living in? Because it's not mine. I think that was what was really hard to convey to people was like, this email didn't come nowhere. It wasn't one horrible person being horrible, but they were particularly asked me about it, but I've been told hundreds of times on dating apps that someone didn't want to date me because I'm disabled. People happily tell me that kind of all the time. So you can't say it's not true.
Yeah, that's like a just society, isn't it? That again, that belief and negative assumptions that people have about disability, even the word disability, and people just see it as a deficit. And I think I often, when I look back at growing up, even I feel like my family felt kind of lived by that model, the real medicalized model and the deficit model. And when I started to look back at the way the media depicted disability in the 80s and the 90s, it was like, okay, that's why these negative attitudes, that's why I had to live through that growing up. And I think ableism exists because of a wider issue of the way that we represent disability. So I think you actually are right in that they weren't wrong. It was just they still shouldn't have said it. And anyone that says the disabled, to me, it's just so othering.
Red flag.
Yeah. I want to talk about motherhood now. So there's a chapter about motherhood, and I obviously, it really resonated with me. I'm a disabled parent myself, and I'm a big advocate in this space because it is just so underrepresented. And even though, so many disabled parents exist, there's still a belief, especially in the medical space, that disabled people shouldn't be parents or can't be parents.
Yeah.
I wanted to read a part of the book that it just spoke to me. The truth is, everything about how we talk about motherhood and the things that we don't say screamed at me that to be a disabled mother would be abomination, a contradiction in terms. From the myth of the perfect mother, healthy, fit, always present, endlessly capable, to the flawed idea that children should be able to have every single need met by one or two people who must be related to them. I just love that statement and that piece of writing. And I wondered, do you feel like you saw disabled parents or mothers growing up? Did you feel like you were represented in that way?
Absolutely not. I mean, never. Which is good because there are many disabled parents all over the world. And crucially, there always have been. Um, so it's extraordinary, but I never ever saw one represented. I'm not really affected, but I knew from my teenage years that I wanted kids.
Mm.
I really genuinely believed for quite a while that this wasn't possible, or it was possible, but it would be some sort of cruelty to the child, which was a horrible thing
Mm.
to feel and believe. But then, and this is exactly what we're saying about the power of representation. Instagram, of all places, it was on Instagram, but I really found the representation of disabled parents and disabled mothers. Guess what? They're all doing great. Like, it's
Mm.
still fine. And yeah, it's hard because I think it's hard. And being a parent is hard, I imagine.
Yeah.
And being disabled is hard all the time, but it's not a shock. But it being hard doesn't mean it's not great, right?
Mm.
And like, just seeing you and other mums who are like smashing it and having a great time, and the kids are so clearly happy, and
Mm.
it really made me think back to the times where I've looked after kind of kids that I know. Maybe I felt at the time kind of this guilt that we couldn't do X or Y, or I couldn't pick them up the way they wanted to be. But actually,
Mm.
we always found something to do. We always ended up having fun.
Mm.
They were always safe. They were always loved.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. We
And
always,
that's what a house requires is love. And
yeah,
I think like in my own experience, but also just like meeting other disabled parents, you realize that like we as disabled people live in an inaccessible world and have had to be creative all our life, problem solvers, adaptable, flexible, and actually it makes us be really great parents. And I think that we just have to constantly push up against these negative
yeah.
assumptions. And yeah,
I
it's
really think, for women especially,
mm.
we're so kind of, like I say in the book, and that quote, there's this myth of the perfect mother. And like,
Yeah.
newsflash, the perfect mother doesn't exist. And
Nope.
I know should she? Like,
Exactly.
because
Exactly.
that's not life, and that's not what we should be expecting of anyone
Mm.
to say we're not. And like, society's expectations are crap,
Mm.
and why live by them when you could make better ones? Um,
Mm.
and like, exactly like you say, I think disabled people actually are the ideal candidates.
Exactly.
Because I remember been talking about this a lot recently as I approach 30. Uh, um, I'm saying to a friend who has been a nanny for kind of newborn babies, um, talking about kind of what would be the challenges and whatever. She said to me, oh, all the new parents that I've worked with haven't reckoned for the complete lack of spontaneity.
Yeah, exactly.
I just laughed at her. She was like, what? When have I ever been able to be spontaneous?
Exactly. I like that.
So I'm like, okay, with the lack of spontaneity. That signed me up, actually. It'd be quite nice for it to be not because of some stress, like, great.
Yeah.
Um, I really do believe that true. And one of the other things that I think makes disabled people great parents is that we're kind of natural community builders.
Mm.
Like my community is, yeah, other disabled people, but also my carers and my PAs.
Mm.
And like, have a feeling that they would be quite keen to help out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I have my friends. I wouldn't be able to get anyone to go home. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Could you imagine?
And I have this whole kind of village of people who would
Mm.
love
Mm.
a kid.
And
And
that is what is required, a village. Like, I don't think that we should be alone in parenting. Like, I think
no,
that that's
and
the case
because
for disabled people and non-disabled people.
exactly, but I think disabled people are more likely to have the village
Mm.
already built.
Yeah.
Um,
I wanted to talk about that. Also, just I guess about the disability community.
yeah,
You speak about this in the book about finding, the community. What is that like to be part of a really, rich, incredibly supportive community?
it is genuinely my favorite thing about being alive. um,
Mm.
um, I grew up like so many disabled people, not knowing disabled people. Um, and it was kind of really hard.
Mm.
I felt so like I didn't belong anywhere, like there was something wrong with me. And then slowly I made disabled friends and got more into activism, made more disabled friends, and met people through work, and suddenly I had this kind of small community. I, I felt so much better. And
Mm.
I could see that the things that happened to me happened to them. So maybe it wasn't me.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe there's something else going on here.
Yeah.
And then through work and social media, that
Mm.
that small community became a really big community. And some of them I know in person, some of them I just know through Instagram or Twitter, but they really are my friends. And
Mm.
I've never known a group of people so inherently have each other's backs
Mm.
as the disabled people I know.
Mm.
We will go into battle. No questions asked, really.
Mm.
Um, and just being able to talk about things and share things and also just laugh at things.
Mm.
I'm of the firm belief that disabled people are the funniest people.
Mm.
Um,
Absolutely.
and yeah, we had quite a lot of fun actually. Uh,
Yeah.
there's nothing better than sitting in a room with disabled people and someone doing something a little bit off, and you all kind of side-eye each other. And you're thinking exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
And you feel this profound sense of belonging.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
and what an incredible thing.
Mm. Yeah, totally agree. And I feel like the online world has just like enabled that even more. So
Yeah.
it's great. We're nearly out of time, but I wanted to ask you a final question. I guess it's about this book is being launched into the world, and people are going to read it, which is like so exciting. What is that? What do you hope for the book to achieve? Like, what do you hope it makes people feel, think? What do you hope it changes?
There's a few things. I think mostly at the moment I just have the people read it. Someone buys it. I think, so few people know about it still. That one of the most key things that I hope people take is that being, as we said this entire conversation, being disabled is not bad, ableism is bad. I hope that people kind of start to see that ableism is powerful as it is, and that we need to be doing something about it. I hope that the premise of the book is looking at that intersection of ableism and sexism, and I really hope that we start to talk about the intersectionality of ableism with all the other, women and queer people and people of color, because that conversation is not happening, and it really desperately needs to. I hope that it makes people question their own assumptions and where they come from and why they persist, and call them out in themselves, and then call them out when they see them elsewhere.
It is going to change people's attitudes, I feel. So I just want to say it again. Congratulations,
Thank
Lizzie.
you.
It's so beautifully written. And as I said, I devoured it really quickly. I actually don't normally read books that quickly. They generally sit on my side table for a long, long time. But
So
this
glad
one,
you did.
yeah, the way that you write, it's so well written, and it made me think about things. So I just, want to say thank you and congratulations
Thank you.
on the view from down here.
Thank you. Thank you for the conversation. I've loved it.
Thank you. And thanks everybody for watching.